So we are starting this governance rest of the questions of December 2019, and the question is related to the hire purchase. Question number 3. First question is two types of hire purchase agreement. So when the following two types of hire purchase agreements, that is when the owner is unwilling to approach. टू टाइप्स ऑफ हायर परचेज कैसा हो सकता है? जब ओनर को अनविलिंग है वो अप्रोच करने के लिए परचेजेस ऑफ द गुड्स टू रिकवर द बैलेंस ऑफ द प्राइस एंड द फाइनेंशियर हु पेड्स द बैलेंस एंड टेक्स द रिकवरी. नाउ दिस फॉर्म्स आर द गुड्स परचेज बाय द फाइनेंसर एंड द डीलर, एंड द फाइनेंसर obtains a hire purchase agreement from the customers under which the latter become the owner on the payment of all installment stipulated hire, exercising its option to purchase the goods on the payment of the nominal price. So what has happened here कि भाई उसने अपने इंस्टॉलमेंट्स के अकॉर्डिंग पे किया, then he will become the owner. और अदर ट्रांजेक्शन में क्या होता है कि goods are purchased by the customer who is in the consideration of the executing a hire purchase agreement, and a light document remains in the possession of the goods subject to the liability to pay the amount paid by the financier on behalf of the dealer, and the financier obtains a hire purchase agreement given to him in a license to seize the goods in the event of the failure by the customer to abide by the condition of the hire purchase. So पहले में क्या होता है कि there is a condition, और जो एक agreement होता है that has to be retained by the owner of the property जब तक agreement condition पूरा नहीं होना चाहता. Then we have another topic, that is objectives of the trademark laws, and whether an unregistered trademark can be assigned though it cannot be assigned. अगर हम इसे बहुत टाइम से यूज़ करें. लेट्स गो इनटू द आंसर्स. द ट्रेडमार्क लॉ, ये बहुत जनरल आंसर है दैट वी शुड नो अबाउट दिस थिंग. Trademark laws has undergone changes from time to time. Time to time change over the changing pattern of the business method, practice. Even every concept of the trademark, its function have changed now. Now the object of the trademark law is to deal with the precise nature of the right which a person can acquire in respect of the trademarks, and the mode of acquisition of such right. Means what is the mode of acquisition of such right, and also the method of the transaction of those right to others, and the precise nature of infringement of such right, and the remedy available in respect thereof. Now, as per section 39, if we talk about of the Trademark Act, state that an unregistered trademark may be assigned to transmitted with or without the goodwill of the business concerned. Means unregistered trademark may be assigned or transmitted with or without the goodwill of the business concerned. Unregistered assigned तो हो ही सकता है, but दो फिर भी नहीं हो सकता है. We need to prove that कि वो बहुत टाइम से यूज़ में है किसी और पर्सन के या नहीं. We can acquire that कि भाई बहुत टाइम से था. Now we have a question of concept of goodwill of the company and the criteria from which goodwill arises. Goodwill क्या है और criteria क्या है goodwill arises का? Goodwill बहुत एक long term में arise होती है. कितना easy questions पूछे हुए थे ना दिसंबर में. We are thinking about this. Goodwill intangible asset, we know it represents the value of a business attaching to all the factors internal external which enable it to earn a different return on the profit of the capital employed, and it's better return that we have arises in the incomparable businesses have regard to the nature, size, location, risk inherent in such a business, and which is capable of being enjoyed by the successor. And goodwill has been variously defined in various commercial pundits, and some definitions are that goodwill of a business is basically the advantage which, whatever it may be, which a person gets by continuing to carry on and being entitled to represent to the outside world, and that is carrying on the business which has been carried on for some time previously. पहले भी काम कर रहा था, and now it has been creative. Now it is attractive force which brings its customers. Attractive force which brings in custom, and also the benefit of good name, reputation, and connection of the business, the one thing which distinguish an old established business from a new business at its first start. Okay, the monetary measurement of the benefits attaching to the ownership of the successful business, also the capitalized value attaching to the different profit capacity of the business. This is basically the different definitions and whole advantage whatever it may be of the reputation connection of the firm, which may have been built up years by honest work organized by the lavish expenditure of money. So all these definitions we have read in class 12th. Goodwill arising mainly पर्सनल रेपुटेशन होगा बिजनेस ओनर्स का, रेपुटेशन गुड्स जिसमें वो डील कर रहे हैं, साइट मोनोपोली होगी, एडवांटेजेस होंगे उसके, बाय एक्सेस to secure supply of goods, large quotas due to patent and trademark protection, due to effective publicity, due to reputation for the first good and methods, and also due to relationship between the firms and the personals, and due to elements stimulating business growth. The general answer we can write here. Concept of entrenchment of Companies Act. कुछ नहीं सकते भाई, जो जो चीज़ें हैं सब पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Now the concept of entrenchment is given under section 5 of the Companies Act. Now, as per section 5 subsection 3 of the Companies Act, that states that the article may contain provision of entrenchment. Due to specified provisions of the article may be altered only if the condition or procedure that are more restrictive than those applicable in such case of special resolution are met or complied with. बेसिकली एंट्रेंचमेंट हम प्रोविज़न लगा सकते हैं आर्टिकल में कि भाई जो बिजनेसेस हैं ये बिजनेसेस स्पेशल प्रोविजंस के अकॉर्डिंग एंड स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन के अकॉर्डिंग ही पास होंगे. एज पर सेक्शन 5 subsection 4 of the Companies Act stated that provisions of entrenchment referred in section this shall only be made either on the formation of a company, फॉर्मेशन के टाइम पे बना सकते हो या अमेंडमेंट कर सकते हो आर्टिकल में, जैसे आर्टिकल में होना चाहिए एग्री टू ऑल मेंबर्स, एंड इन केस ऑफ अ प्राइवेट कंपनी एंड पब्लिक कंपनी के केस में स्पेशल रेजोल्यूशन के थ्रू. एंड सेक्शन 5 सबसेक्शन 5 ऑफ द कंपनी स्टेटेड दैट वेयर द आर्टिकल कंटेन provision for entrenchment, the company shall give notice to the ROC of such provision in INC 32 as the case may be, along with the fee as provided in company's registration office and of fees. Now rule 2014, at the time of incorporation of the company or in case of existing companies, now the same shall be filed in form MGT 14 within 30 days from the entrenchment of the articles as the case may be, along with fees as provided in the Companies Act, registration office and fees. Now need to go out another question, that is BPO KPO outsourcing, summon and warrant cases, hypothecation pledge and license and lease. इन सब के बीच में हमें क्या करना है, डिफ्रेंशिएट, यस डिस्टिंग्विश करना है. So we are going for the first part, that is the BPO and KPO of outsourcing. BPO we know, business processing outsourcing, and KPO is a knowledge processing outsourcing. So business processing outsourcing में it provides services like customer care, technical support, voice process, telemarketing, sales. KPO में थोड़ा सा in depth होता है, knowledge expertise का होता है, analysis होता है, legal आ जाता है, service आ जाता है, HR में business आ जाता है, market research आ जाता है. Knowledge process outsourcing होता है, इसका meaning they just require good communication skills, had basic computer knowledge. Here we need special knowledge. Also it is low end service, it is high end service. Predefined process requires application understanding of business. इसमें ज़्यादा qualified employment चाहिए, इसमें skilled employee चाहिए, इसमें process है, ये knowledge है. This is process and it is knowledge. Cost arbitration and knowledge arbitration, volume driven and insight driven. Now we have another question, that is summon case and warrant case. We know that there are two type of case, summon case and warrant case, and we'll go into little bit detail. 2W मतलब वारंट में W नहीं आ रहा है, W आ रहा है समन में. ठीक है, समन एंड वारंट केसेस में समन में W आ रहा है. मीन्स 2W ऑफ द क्रिमिनल का प्रोसीजर कोड स्टेटेड दैट समन का मतलब क्या है, समन का मतलब है दैट केस रिलेटिंग टू एन ऑफेंस एंड नॉट बीइंग अ वारंट केस. वाह जी वाह, मतलब ये एक ऑफेंस है जो कि वारंट केस नहीं है. ठीक है, दोज केसेस इन विच ऑफेंस इज पनिशेबल विद एन इम्प्रिजनमेंट ऑफ फ्यूअर देन 2 years, मीन्स जिसमें 2 साल से कम का पनिशमेंट है, उसको हम समन केस बोलेंगे. एंड समन केस डज नॉट रिक्वायर द मेथड ऑफ प्रिपेयरिंग द एविडेंस. नेवरदलेस समन केस कैन बी कन्वर्टेड into warrant case by the magistrate. Can be happened if after looking into the case he thinks that the case is not a summon case. Okay, now important points of the summon cases: summon case can be converted into a warrant case. Okay, and the person accused need to be present personally. Also the personal accused should be informed about the charges orally. No need for framing the charges in writing, and the accused gets only one opportunity to cross-examine the witnesses. And now we have a warrant case. that warrant case is a little bit different. It need 2x. ठीक है, W X Y Z. W is for summon, X for warrant. Okay, W के बाद there is a X and 2x is for the 2x of CPC 1973 warrant case. It is basically one which is related to the offence punishable with death. Means punishable with death हो, imprisonment for life हो, imprisonment for a term exceeding 2 years हो, then it comes out to be warrant case. And the trial in warrant case starts either by the filing of FIR, police station में FIR file करा दी, by filing a complaint before magistrate, and later if magistrate is satisfied that the offence is terrible, exclusive by the court of the session, then he sends the case into the session court for trial, and the process of sending it to the session court is called committing to session court. Now important features क्या हैं warrant cases के? Charges must be mentioned in the warrant case. Charges mentioned होने चाहिए. Personal appearance of the accused is mandatory. Personal appearance होना चाहिए accused का. And also the warrant case cannot be converted into summon case. That is not possible. First is it warrant case and now it is lower पे तो जा ही नहीं सकता ना. Can go only on the higher side. So personal accused का mandatory है, oral नहीं होना चाहिए. And the accused can examine cross examination more than once. इसमें once था क्या? Accused get only one opportunity to cross examine the witness. Okay. And here more than once we can cross examine. Also the magistrate should ensure that the provision of section 207 are complied with section 207 of CRPC 1973, and it includes the supply of copies such as police reports, FIR, statements recording or any other relevant document to the accused. Now we have different question, that is pledge and hypothecation. Hypothecation and pledge, we know it, they both are really important terms which can appear into the examination at any day. The pledge can be defined as a form of bailment in which goods are held as security for the payment of the debt or the performance of an obligation. So pledge क्या है? Pledge का meaning है is a form of the bailment, goods held हुई हैं security के लिए for the payment of debt and performance of an obligation. Hypothecation is moreover different from pledge in which collateral asset is not delivered to the lender. जो asset है वो हमारे पास ही है, हमने बोल दिया हमने hypothecate कर दिया है, but that asset is with us only. और pledge के केस में क्या होता है कि we have given our asset as a security, ठीक है. और hypothecation के केस में asset is not delivered to the lender. And pledge is defined in 172 of 1872. 8 को निकाल दो तो 172 हो गया pledge of Indian Contract Act. And on the other hand, hypothecation is defined in 2 subsection 1 clause N of the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Asset and Enforcement of Securities Interest 2002. So hypothecation is basically defined as SARFAESI Act के अंदर, that has defined. Hypothecation has been defined in SARFAESI Act. So now we have a different question. Oh, again we have some differentiation. Okay, now pledge के केस में, so we have given कि भाई इसमें asset नहीं deliver होता, ये 172 है, ये है SARFAESI Act के अंदर. And in case of a pledge, the possession of the asset is transferred, but in cause possession with lies in the debtor only. कैसे कैसे आंसर लिखते हैं? सिमिलर लाइन दे हैव रिपीटेड. नाउ द पार्टीज टू द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ऑफ द प्लेज आर कॉल्ड पाउनर, को पाउनर बोलते हैं और उसको पाउनी बोलते हैं प्लेज के केस में. हाइपोथिकेशन के केस में हाइपोथिकेटर, हाइपोथिकेटी बोलते हैं. ओके, नाउ द प्लेज जो है व्हेन द बोरोअर डिफॉल्ट इन पेमेंट, lender can exercise his right to sell the asset to recover the debt amount. However, in hypothecation, lender doesn't have the possession of the goods, so he can file the suit to realize his dues and take the possession first and then disposing of it. Now we have a lease and license. It is important. Let's discuss. Now the lease is not, license is not a lease. What a line. Lease, license एक lease नहीं. Okay. And lease and license both are different. As the name indicates, wow, if there is a different spelling, definitely there is a different meaning. Now the word license defined under 52 of Indian Easement Act. License Easement Act के अंदर में defined है is a grant by one person to another or to defined number of persons a right to do, continue to do, or upon the immovable property of the grantor and something which would in the absence of such right be unlawful. Means कि right to do और कुछ तुम continuously कर सकते हो, maybe property के ऊपर, or maybe there is some work which may be unlawful if he doesn't in the absence of such right, and that such right does not amount to an easement or interest in the property. वो easement or interest नहीं है, it is right is called license. And now a license of immovable property, lease of immovable property, as per section 105 of TP, 105 of TP, okay, 105 of TPA टोपा 105 ऑफ टोपा कैसे याद रखोगे? 105 ऑफ टोपा याद रख सकते हो. लीज 105 रुपये में हमने घर दे दिया है, चलो कहीं नहीं. Now there is a define as a lease of immovable property as a transfer of right to enjoy such property. Okay, made for a certain time, express or implied, or in perpetuity भी हो सकता है, in consideration for a price, paid or promise, or a money for shared crops, service and other value to be rendered periodically or the specified occasion. ठीक है. Now the transferor called is the lessor and the transferee is called the lessee, and the process called the premium, money share, service, other thing, and also it called be rent. Now there is a case that is Khalid Ahmad Bashir Ahmad. So there is the case in the Supreme Court. It was held that in order to determine whether a document created a license or a lease, the real test is to ascertain the intention of the parties, that is whether they intend to create a license or lease. If the document creates an interest in the property entitling the transferee to enjoy, then it is a lease. But if it is only permit another to make use of the property without exclusive possession, तुमने possession नहीं दी है, you just give a right to make use of that property, and that in it is turn out to be loose license. Now we just give without exclusive possession, we have just permit to make use of the property, then it turns out to be license. And when there is interest on this property, then it turns out to be lease. And we have question number 4 that need to be discussed, that X has filed a suit, civil suit basically, for eviction and possession of this property against Y, okay, and an unauthorized occupier है Y, but the case was dismissed by default without any hearing and not considering merit of the case. Honorable court, due to several non-appearance of X, X appear ही नहीं हुआ. Now again X wants to file another civil case before the same court on the same cause of action. सेम चीज़ें तो नहीं हो सकती. वी हैव एग्जीक्यूटिव में भी पढ़ा हुआ है प्रिंसिपल ऑफ रेस जुडिकेटा, ठीक है. प्रिंसिपल ऑफ रेस जुडिकेटा एम्स एट ब्रिंगिंग फाइनलिटी टू द लिटिगेशन. Now the basic principle is that final judgment rendered by the court of the competent jurisdiction is conclusive on merit as to right of the party and constitute an absolute bar against subsequent action involving the same claim. Okay, नहीं हो सकता. Now principle of res judicata applies only under the following circumstances. What all are they? Like the matter directly, substantially in the issue has been directly and substantially in issue in the former suit between the same party or same or between whom they claim litigation under the same title. Now this matter in the court competent to try such subsequent suits or the suit in which such issue has been subsequently raised and has been heard and finally decided. Now the word former suit means suit decided prior, irrespective of the date of institution, and the matter must be decided on the merits, that is, the issue was alleged by one party and denied by another party. Now the present case, the competent court has dismissed without any hearing, that is, the case has not been heard, and also the case must be decided on the merits, so that the principle of res judicata doesn't apply. So X can file a fresh suit before the competent case court. Again, I'm reading this line, that in the present case the competent court has dismissed without any hearing. So hearing नहीं हुई थी, so in that case this is applied. So case cannot be heard, so the case must be decided on the merits. So the principle of res judicata doesn't apply. res judicata नहीं होता apply अगर वो केस सुन लिया गया होता, बट हियरिंग के बिना ही हो गया. लाइक अगर मैं इसका तुम्हें एक एग्जांपल दूँ, देयर इज़ अ केस जसलीन का, जिस पर्सन के अगेंस्ट उसने कर दिया था, फिर वो बाद में कनाडा चली गई, वो अपेयर ही नहीं हुई, पर्सन अपेयर होता रहा, तो कोर्ट ने उसके फेवर में सुना दिया जजमेंट. बट अगर इन केस वो लड़की दोबारा आती है कि भाई मैं थी नहीं अवेलेबल, एंड देन अगेन फाइल करती है, तो अगेन वो फाइल कर सकती है एज पर दिस रूल. Now we have another question, that is question number 2, that is a civil suit was filed without disclosing the cause of action in the plaint, and the Honorable Court rejects the plaint. We need to comment and advise the plaintiff for remedial measures. So here order number 7, rule 11 of the CPC provides for rejection of a plaint on the following grounds. Means when we can reject that plaint, then where it does not disclose the cause of action, and where the relief claimed it undervalues, and the plaintiff, on being required by the court to correct the valuation at the time of fixed by the court and fails to do so, and where the relief claimed is properly valued but the plaint is written upon paper insufficiently, stamp भी नहीं हुआ है, and the plaintiff, on being required by the court to supply the requisite stamp paper within the time to be fixed by the court and fail to do so, and where the suit appears from the statement in the plaintiff to be barred by any law, and where it is not filed in the duplicate, and plaintiff has failed to comply with the orders of the court and the summon to be served on the defendants, directing the plaintiff to present as many copies of the plaint on plain paper as there are defendants within 7 days from the date of such order, along with the requisite fees for service of the summons on the defendants. Also, further, as per the order 7 of rule 3 of the CPC, the rejection of the plaint or any grounds mentioned above shall not of its own force preclude the plaintiff from presenting a fresh plaint in respect of same cause of action. Now, therefore, the court has power to reject the plaint where it does not disclose the cause of action. Also, however, the rejection of the plaint on this non-disclosure of the cause of action does not of its own force bar the plaintiff from representing the fresh plaint, and plaintiff can represent a fresh plaint. Now we have question number 4, part C, that is related to, now Rush is basically a banking company and wants to take action against the defaulting borrower, and the company secretary, we need to advise that where they can file, and whether the THFL and MBFC is a non-banking company can file a petition against the defaulting borrower in the same forum. So as per the banking company, the banking companies can go to the DRT, that is, that recognitive tribunal has been constituted under section 3 of this recovery of the bank due to bank and the financial institution, and the originally aim basically to the DRT was to receive the claim applicant from the bank financial institution against defaulting borrowers. DRT established for expeditious adjudication and recovery of debt due to bank for the faster recovery basically, and in order to reduce the non-performing assets of the banks and financial institution. Now DRT act as a single judicial forum for adjudication of cases as well as execution of decree passed for the recovery of debt due to bank and financial institutions under the RDBFI Act and Securities RFC Act. Now, Rush can file the petition with the DRT against the defaulting borrower, assuming TFHL and MBFC is a non-banking company. Bank financial institution can also file the petition before the DRT against the defaulting borrower. Now, there is a different answer they have given here. Here there is that it has been constituted under section 3, the original aim. So was looking same. So why they have given it as an alternative answer? सब कुछ तो सेम है, एक एक वर्ड. अच्छा, अब अच्छा, अगर ये बीइंग फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन है तो कैन ऑल्सो फाइल द पिटिशन बिफोर DRT, और अगर ये नॉन बैंकिंग कंपनी है बीइंग नॉन फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन कैन नॉट फाइल द पिटिशन बिफोर DRT अगेंस्ट अ डिफॉल्टिंग borrower. Now we have a question regarding C, I think. An application for revision has been made before the session judge, and can another be revised for the High Court? I think this question we have to discuss in another video. Thank you.